Go.
Welcome, listeners. You are listening to Refresh Radio 104.1 FM WXRW LP Milwaukee. Don't forget to tell Siri, Google, and Alexa, hey, play Refresh Radio WXRW. This is the show Ability MKE Now with Dave Stevens. I'm your co-host, Marcus Hart of the Transform You Media Network. Take it away, Dave.
All right, Marcus. Thanks, bud. It's great to have you back for the top of the show this week. We had some errors last week, but hey, we just keep inventing things as we go along. So thank you, Marcus. I want to bring in also, we've got my other cohort who is here, and that would be Anna Maria Bliven. Anna Maria is going to be here later in the show to, again, some more job line opportunities to talk about online. And again, those do's and don'ts and the websites to stay away from. But I got to bring in my first guest tonight, and I'm really excited to have her be a part of our show tonight, just because, you know what, you guys have said, oh, we've had too many athletes and we've had all these stars and stuff like that. Well, I have found a superstar tonight, and I'm so excited to have her with me, and she is coming to us all the way. I think our farthest guest that we've had be a guest with us, and joining me right now is Paula Peltier from GoDaddy. Paula, hey, it's awesome to have you here. Thanks for being a part of Ability MKE Now. And welcome. How's California treating you these days?
Hi, Dave. All is well. It is a very warm week here. Let me just say that. But I don't have a lot to complain about. I live near a beach city. So, we got average temperatures of around 80 all week. Nothing to complain much about that, right?
Yeah. Right. Rub it in for all
Oh,
the
I know.
people
I'm
on the
sorry.
East Coast. But no, it's great to have you here, and your story is amazing. And I'm just going to kind of sugarcoat, because there's how many years, you've been alive 30, 35 years. So we'll kind of condense it here. But, you started out in your youth as a normal little girl. 12 years old, you were big into gymnastics. You had aspirations to become an Olympic gymnast. And then suddenly, I don't know if it was like overnight, but your life changed when you got transverse myelitis. And again, we don't know a lot about it. It's a neurological disorder, but you suddenly went from this vivacious, beautiful 12-year-old girl with a future ahead of you to being a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. I mean, how did you deal with that, and what the heck happened?
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I, as you said, was an active, 12-year-old girl um, with aspirations to, be a gymnast and, do normal life, things. And I woke up one morning and my back was hurting. And within about 4 hours, I went from running around to not feeling anything from my neck down. I never lost lung function, but I lost most of my arm function, and it took several years of intensive OT and PT um, to regain most of the use of my arms back. My legs, I can still, feel a little bit. I do have the ability to stand and pivot transfer, but that's been with many years of physical therapy. We didn't know a lot about transverse myelitis back then, but since I think it was 13 years after I first got to TM, where I met the first person with it. So as you could imagine, doctors didn't know about it, people didn't know about it, but I finally met a few people through hospital connections who put me in touch with other people, and we started a nonprofit that tried to find a cure for what I have, and we went from there to the TMA, or now it is called the Siegel Rare Immune Association, SRNA.
Whew.
And I know it's a long word. I know. And they're rocking it. They have doctors studying what transverse myelitis is, and they have all kinds of conferences. And I was a part of that group for about 17 years as the treasurer, and then just got too busy with life and things, and had to stop being treasurer. But it's an amazing group, and they're definitely you know making sure that people know about these rare disorders. Dave, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Here we go. All right. So I was going to say, you're a 12-year-old girl. You've
Yes.
gone through this sudden change. I mean, what was your mentality as far as
Yeah.
how you could overcome this as a 12-year-old? Like, you're not meant to do that.
No, you're not. You're not, definitely. But I will tell you, I am, I am from a very close-knit family. And to start with, that was what got me through. My family, was there every step of the way. It was very difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and see this different person that, in your head, you're that person that is walking and doing all of those things. But when you see yourself in the mirror, all of a sudden you have this confusion, and you really miss some of the things that you used to do. You're watching all of your schoolmates, all of your family, neighbors, everybody doing all those things that you still used to do. So you do have to do a bit of um, in my mind, it was just a transformation as to what can I do to help myself to be happy with the things that I have and not the things that I don't have. And I was able to make a switch, I think, at some point in time and say, all right, this is what my life purpose is all about. I'm here to educate the world, or in my mind, I'm not educating the world. I'm educating the people that surround me, and that means the people that I work with, the people that I talk to every day. And believe me, every single day I meet up with someone that's going to ask a question, and that dialogue starts going. They wonder why I have a smile on my face. I have a smile on my face because I'm living a really good life. I'm just living a normal life. As you mentioned, there's a lot of people that you've had on the show. They're doing big, huge things, worldwide things. I'm not. I'm just living my normal life, and my purpose is really to just make it easier for the person that's right behind me. Put that extra ramp that wasn't there before. Educate these people on, this isn't going to work for somebody in a wheelchair, and
Right.
and hope and pray that that next person, because when I first got sick, definitely those things were not there for me. But also you have to keep in mind that the American Disabilities Act for the first, I probably 15 years of my life in a chair didn't exist. So, the schools didn't have to have accessible bathrooms. There were a lot of things that just weren't there and available. Um, and today they exist. So, you know, we survived
Yeah. I
because
mean,
you
it's
have to.
amazing. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. People they get hung up on the what is normal,
Hmm.
and they think that having two legs and two arms and walking around, that's normal. They don't realize that that's a word that they've labeled it. But, I grew up with, not having legs. You can see my butt is here on the floor, doing this
Yeah,
show. That's my normal. And you went from what your normal was to a normal that nobody can experience but you. And
right.
those challenges are on a day-to-day basis. People wake up every morning and they get out of bed and they have their legs and they stand up. They don't understand the things that we go through on the challenges on a day-to-day basis, especially as we're getting older, that there aren't books to telling us that your old disabled body is going to break down and things are going to be slower and you can't get up and you can't do these things. So it's great what you're doing with the groups that you're doing, and GoDaddy allowing you to, be able to, make an impact and to really, touch people's lives, and, also be able to showcase that, hey, I've been a mother, I have been an athlete, I have done all these amazing things, and I don't have to worry about anybody but me because that's my normal.
Hmm. Definitely. I still have that adventurous spirit. I think I had it before. I still have it. I think my parents cringed at a lot of the things that I wanted to go do because they were worried that I was going to break, you know, and I didn't. I still went skiing, snow skiing, water skiing, parasailing. But my dad, wore a big, a big path in the ground, worried about me, pacing back and forth while I was doing these things. But Yeah, and the surfing has been an incredible experience with Life Rolls On. They're another really amazing organization. Been living in California now for 10 years, and for the first 5 years of living here, I'd go to the beach and just watch what all the activities that are going on, but I really couldn't partake in much. So when I found Life Rolls On, and them being able to take people with disabilities out, it was such a wonderful experience. I think when you get to experience those things that make you feel normal, and normal, quote unquote, is what is normal? There is no normal. But what I mean is normal in a sense that what everybody else is doing is such an incredible feeling. For a moment, you get to feel
Yeah.
that way.
And it's like hitting a golf ball. When you get to ski and you get up on that board and you get to do those things, you just want to get up and do it again. And I give you credit for continuing it. And, but you had some challenges in life and those challenges continue. But one of the biggest challenges for you was high school and
Mm,
graduation and dealing with,
definitely.
hey, there's a ramp and how am I going to get up there? But you spent your entire year almost focusing and rehabbing that you were going to walk that across that and grab your diploma. Where does that rank in one of your special moments of your life?
It's one of the top ones, definitely. And let me tell you, I know you may or may not be able to see the picture for anybody that's just listening online, but I did. I worked for a year straight in trying to figure out how I was going to hold my walker and walk and grab it and my diploma and and I had a whole section of, believe me, my doctors, my family, my friends that like the amount of applause that came from that, it was I couldn't even hear anything. And you know how when they're doing a graduation where they say the name and 2 seconds later they're saying the next name of the person, right? They started to say the name of the next person and they had to stop. And they literally stopped for about 10 minutes before, that whole roar came to a close. And and that experience was really cool because for much of my high school years, I didn't know people. I wanted to be a part of that, but I didn't know how to do that, and wanted to be a part of, even maybe keeping score for some of the sports, and just didn't know how to connect. But when I came outside of that graduation, people came up and they were like, "Hey, I wish I would have known you," And I still every once in a while run into people and they're like, "Wow," even from junior high school through Facebook that are saying, I know who you are. I remember you." You know, it's kind
Well,
of cool.
I wish our radio listeners could see the picture, and you can go to the Ability MKE website and see it. We are, on a really awesome show. This is Ability MKE. Right now, I'm blown away. I'm looking at this picture, and again, our radio viewers can't see, but the girl behind you is crying. She's emotional. You're beaming and smiling, like it's almost like it's a bigger deal for her behind you.
Well, it's true. Her and her twin sister was right behind her, and and she was quite emotional. I'm still friends with her today, and what a bond, yeah, that we made through that. It's pretty cool.
Now, for you, after high school and stuff, you've got the challenges that we go through for dating and stuff like that. And again, the people that don't have our situations don't know that, all girls and boys are looking for the 6'2" blonde quarterback and the beautiful cheerleader. And
That's
suddenly
right.
here's a legless dude and here's this, lady in a wheelchair. It's like, so what were those challenges like for you for dating and boys and stuff when you already had to deal with something and it's like, well, what am I going to do to, just
Yeah,
be normal?
that was quite an experience because my family will tell you I was a boy crazy girl, and when I was a kid. So, after having gotten TM, I it it was a little bit eye opening and shocking because yeah, nobody when you're different, um, kids are not very kind, and surely not going to be inviting you out to do anything. So I didn't have any dating experience until I was in high school. I met up with a guy on my sister's softball team, and it was eventually my ex-husband. And so the first person I dated was the person I married. um, and I was only 19. That experience was wonderful. He was a terrific man, um, and a good husband. But at 19, you don't know a lot about those people, and really we just grew apart. We had a 23-year marriage, and eventually we ended up divorcing. But we have a 27-year-old son named Jesse from that is also one of my greatest, I'm proud moments that I'm a mom, and that I went through that experience. That was a tough experience, because I didn't back then really have any support system from a doctor that would have known about what transverse myelitis is about and how to deliver, and nobody to even ask those questions of. So we went blindly through much of my pregnancy and delivery.
So I'm a parent of three with no legs, and I had to deal with doing things and doing, pushing strollers and learning how to do all kinds of things differently, diapering and all these kind of things. And, I sit here and wonder, okay, I was able to do that and overcome it and do, the parenting thing as a dad, but it blows my mind, like the challenges that you must have gone through as a parent. What were some of the biggest ones, and what were some of those that you sat back and go, man, I did a good job?
Yeah, I've got several. I'd say the biggest challenge was for the doctor to understand, with the medications that you take, was that safe for baby? How were we going to deliver? Because I also have a fused back, so their ability to give an epidural in my case was not there. So I ended up having to have a general anesthetic and completely out C-section. They took him early to be sure I didn't go into, labor. That was a challenge. And there are definitely no baby equipment that is accessible.
Yeah.
To this day, I would still love to create a line of accessible baby equipment. And, think about a crib. You can't get in a crib when you're sitting, out here, and then try and safely get a baby in and out of a crib. Not
Yeah.
happening.
I had
Yeah.
to learn to do some, unique things. You take a little baby stroller, and I would put my sons in that stroller to push them around the house to get them, from point A to point B. But their challenge was they learned to crawl and get around with me, and we kind of like
Yep.
taught each other how to, play off each other, strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes I'm sure your son goes, okay, I got to help mom a little bit, even not consciously knowing, but like helping to tie his shoes and do those things.
You
And
know,
you become a team. And I would envision that you and Jesse were quite a mother-son team.
Dave, I am one of the most blessed mothers. I feel like Jesse is a perfect child. He was easy to raise, and it wasn't on my behalf. I really believe that he is who he is. He just has this kind spirit about him that noticed everything that I did. So yes, the challenges at the beginning were many when he wasn't independent yet. I still had to get a lot of people's support, and my family came and rallied around me all the time. Just when you're traveling from in a car, I really needed help to get him in and out of the car. Too hard to do all by myself. But I also modified baby equipment all the time to make it work for me. But once he was able to walk and take direction, he, at a really young age, was opening doors, was saying, okay, how can I help? He would even push me he's like 2 feet tall and he's behind me. And if anybody's, in front of me, seeing me come, they're like, how is she doing that? And then they see these little legs, down below. And he's behind me, pushing me through, doors, through all that. And today he's a 27-year-old wonderful kid that still helps, still does the things that I need, that I just can't say enough about him. The one thing that I did do right, and this is, I believe, something that every parent needs to do, I think, learn how to volunteer, how to bridge the gap between something that, is maybe not your norm, but bridge the gap for people that are in need or are in, So I brought him to all of the kids camps that I mentored kids at. I brought him to everything, every event, and he's been I really think that his heart and his compassion is just there, and I know he'll continue to do that as an adult.
Well, I brought in Anna Maria and Marcus. They're with me. This is Dave Stevens on Ability MKE Now. Don't forget, we got the Ability Fest still planned, still coming up October 26th and November 1st at the Sheraton Milwaukee. So we got some exciting things still to talk about in the next couple weeks as things are getting planned with Kurt and Jory and all those guys. It's going to be a great event. And, of course, Marcus and Anna Maria are going to join us for the second half of the show. But, Marcus, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts as I've kind of watched your face, the oohs and ahs, as you've watched Paula tell her story.
Yeah, it's truly an incredible story, and Paula, I just thank you, for just coming on and really inspiring people with just all that you have continued to push forward to do. And I think back to just your experience in high school, you're hearing about that, and just being able to go through that, and going down through memory lane, thinking about that, that's got to be tough. And being reminded of just how it was tough, not having that dating experience, and then you finally arrive at it, and it's like, I don't have the tools to deal to work with being in a relationship, and many people go through this, and then but more so, translating to what you said about having to modify all of the different baby equipment, and as a father of six, I had to do it six different times.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't imagine, but just my question would be, is just for those who don't really understand the different ways you kind of motivated yourself throughout those different tough moments. There's got to be there's usually no magic word or magic tool, but what really was able to keep you getting up out of bed and really saying, like, hey, there's another day again, and I got to go through this day.
Well, it's really twofold. I grew up in a Christian household, and my faith definitely has brought me through, lots of bad, bad experiences. The thought that this is exactly what my path in life was meant to be is is something I believe. This was what was meant to be. It's helped me to continue. Um, and sorry, your question again was, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, and just again, a lot of us right now, we all are, in our I guess in a traumatic, we all going through a little trauma right now with COVID-19, and and dealing with different challenges, and kind of modifying our life, so to speak. And you had to modify your life all your life.
Thank you.
And and sometimes it's hard to kind of wake up with another day, like, hey, how do I get through this day? And and there's no magic word or no magic go to do that sometimes, but what worked for you?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that again.
Yeah, no problem.
Basically, you know what? It's very simple. This is how I live each day. It is, you know what? Each day that I wake up, that I am living and breathing, is a great day. For all of us, and the blessings are thereafter. I get up. Just like everybody else, I make my bed. Hey, guess what? That was my first accomplishment of the day. If anything, I've at least made my bed. I do that every morning. And then after that, it's what do I still have? I have the ability to communicate with my mouth. I have the ability to love with my heart. I have the ability to make food with my own hands. I've always looked at the things that I have and try not to look at the half empty side, because you can modify it. You can do it.
That's awesome, Paula. And you're going to stick with us for the next hour as we wrap up here on the radio side on WXRW 104.1, riverwestradio.com. I got to bring in Anna Maria. Anna Maria, we've got some things that we want to talk about tonight that we know you started on it last week, as far as letting people know the do's and don'ts, the websites not to go to. But I understand that there's some real good job opportunities out there for people online to get legitimate paying jobs. So what do you got for us?
There is, but I just want to take a moment to say thanks, Paula, for being the demonstration of a can-do attitude.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and that goes a long, long way, especially when you're also a job seeker and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I went through the 31st interview and never really made it to get a job yet. Is this ever going to happen? And guys, you got to have that can-do attitude that Paula was just talking about. And especially if you're a person that can teach or tutor online. As you can well imagine, with the chaos of COVID, we don't know for sure that all of our children are going to make it to the classroom this coming fall. And that being the case, there's a lot of online tutoring and teaching positions coming up. In fact, I was helping someone yesterday in the STEM. So if you are very good at teaching and tutoring math and science, contact prosperitypathways.com and let us show you where those are, because you're in need. There's a huge need for tutors and teachers to work one-on-one with students, especially in math and science.
Now, I know a lot of the challenges now are going to be for these parents that weren't planning to be educators with children with special needs. So I'm also wondering, what do they do with those kind of challenges? Because they're going to have to try to work from home and deal with educational things that they're not trained to do.
That's exactly right, too. So prosperitypathways.com has a way of taking the need of the job seeker and match that up with the need of the situation, be it a company, an organization, or even a freelance situation, perhaps with a parent of a special needs child that needs that one-on-one attention for their child. So just again, I love the can-do attitude. No matter what challenge we may find in what form, we can do it, guys, and we're gonna do it.
Definitely. That's a
I
great
love that
message.
can-do.
Yeah, it's
I've
always
had,
good to have you jump in. We're going to kind of
yeah.
wrap things up here on this side, as I want to thank Paula Peltier. She's going to stay. So everybody stick with us on Ability MKE Now on Facebook, or Dave Stevens Speaks on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, and all those other fun places. And make sure that you stick with us, because we got a lot of good stuff coming up on the second hour. Maybe we'll get your son to make an appearance here and jump in and say hi and talk about what a horrible mom you were.
Oh,
No,
no.
it's been great having you. And again, thanks to GoDaddy for letting you be a part of this. And what's the website again where they can go to real quick to check out more about TM and those folks that have that?
Yes, it's www.myelitis.org, myelitis.org. And it'll redirect you to the new name, which is the SRNA. But yep, that's it.
There we go. All right. So fun, festivities, everything. Stick with us for the next hour. Marcus, I'm so glad you're back on riverwestradio.com. Continue to follow us on all social medias. Take us out of here, my friend.
Well, we thank you so much, River West Radio listeners, especially. We hope you enjoyed this show as much as we did. We do this every week. What a great episode it was indeed. Ability MKE Now with Dave Stevens. We appreciate our guests, especially for sharing their story and making this episode one of a kind. Feel free to visit us again by checking out more episodes in the archive at riverwestradio.com. Click shows and click on Ability MKE Now. We welcome you also to our Facebook group, Ability MKE Now. Consider a like for the Facebook page. Take care and continue to listen to River West Radio, WXRW FM 104.1 FM, Milwaukee.
We are back for the second half hour of our show, Ability MKE Now. I'm Dave Stevens, and of course, the guy next to me right there, that's my DJ, that's Marcus Hart. And Marcus, we got to start spinning some tunes or having some fun with some, well, I guess we can't play a lot of music because we get sued by the FCC, but we got to break out the fun. I've got Anna Marie Bliven, who's going to be here this second half hour talking to us, but let's get back to my guest. It's Paula Peltier from GoDaddy, and you're in California, I know, because I've been to the GoDaddy in Phoenix, Arizona. Great location. How did you end up in California?
Well, I was actually in California when I was applying for the job. So GoDaddy acquired a company that had telecom business, and they were located here in California. And so they they started an office down in Southern California, and this is the office I was hired at. So it all worked out good.
Wow.
And we were talking about jobs in my career. So I got my degree in business with a concentration in accounting, and I've had worked for three different companies now in my career. First one for a very long time in Seattle for a software company that doesn't exist any longer. And then when I moved down here to California, I worked for another company called 3 Day Blinds, and then GoDaddy. So my career.
How are the donuts there? Are the donuts good?
The donuts are great. Actually, GoDaddy keeps them coming. It's great.
Well, while you're talking about jobs, and that's one of the things, it's key for Anna Marie and what she does. But what was that like for you early on, trying to go out in the real world where we're not supposed to have jobs and we're not supposed to be where people can see us? We're kind of, people always think, that saying, hire the handicapped, they're fun to watch, because we didn't have the ADA thing so many years ago. Now we do. Is it better? I don't know. That's a different topic for another show. But what were your struggles like early on, knowing you had to overcome so much, but also both sides? How were they going to treat you? Were they going to, be nice to me, mean to me, baby me, not grade me like I want to get graded? Tell me about those early days.
Oh, those early days, it was interesting. I actually went on quite a few interviews, and then there were quite a few interviews that I never was able to go to because there was no access. So I would apply to a company, and then if they called to request an interview at the very end of that phone call, I would say, okay, and by the way, I'm in a wheelchair, is your building accessible, or how will I be able to get in? And what we found out was probably half of them had no access. So right off the bat, that excluded me.
But Paula, you didn't sound like you were in a wheelchair when we spoke on the phone.
You got that right. And you would not believe the number of times I was also asked why I didn't put that on my resume, which it was very interesting. I thought, you know what? I even know that is not something that I should be putting on my resume. Why can't I show my ability through, my schooling, my jobs, and all of the things that I have done in my life? Yeah, that was hard. And even some of the interviews that I went on, inappropriate questions to how shocked they were. Even when I said, is the building accessible because I'm in a wheelchair, there was some shock that a little bit, happened. And I was so excited when finally I got my first, job offer, because I thought, I'm going to show the world, I'm going to show them that I was a good option. I was a good person to have on board. And I think that they think that. I would tell you that I am an open book, as you can see. I mean, really ask me any question, and it happens every day. You could be out and about, and someone's going to stop you on the road and say, well, ask you lots of questions, from how you go to the bathroom to, when I was pregnant with Jesse, they would even ask how that happened. So you get all kinds of questions,
Well, how was it early for you? Because I went through these struggles in television, especially at ESPN, where you're the first. So how do they treat you? I had people that were so obsessed with helping me that I'd pass by the door to the stairs to go down, and they would hold the door like in my wheelchair. Hey, dude, I'm not going to take these stairs. But they're so preoccupied with, like, I got to do the right thing, and I got to say the right thing, and I don't want to look them in the eyes, and all these kind of things. So What was that like for you, struggling in the world of work where you just wanted to be known for your ability and not that disability?
You sense that. You can tell when somebody is unsure of being around you. You can tell that they want to ask a question and all that kind of thing. I hope that the way I've always approached anybody is just ask it. And I actually invite it. If I can sense it, I invite it. There was one of my first college classes at the University of Washington. Um, I had a professor come right up to me and say, "What's wrong with you?" Not a hello, just "What's wrong with you?" And wanted to put me in the front of the class. And my response was, "Hi, I'm Paula Peltier. What's your name?" Not going to go to the "What's wrong with me?" because there's nothing wrong with me. You know what? And just said, I don't need to sit up at the front, and let me just show you how to do this gracefully. you know and I think that the more people, and I can tell you that my when Jesse was very little, um and going to school, at the beginning of every single year, I would ask his teacher if I could come in and talk to the class. And that was just to give those kids an opportunity to ask all kinds of questions, and meet me, so that Jesse didn't have to answer those questions. Because I already have a strange, disorder that a child. It's hard to explain to anybody what I have and what goes on as as an autoimmune condition. You can't
Right.
really say this happened and this is what. So to kids, it's hard to describe. And instead of the questions that Jesse would have to navigate, it was just easier for me to go in and explain that. And I believe that in that route, in meeting all of those kids, they're going to go on in life as an adult saying, "Oh, I met Paula. She's normal. Treat the next person with care, just the same way." That's kind of how I feel.
Well, and we've both been on both sides of this, but I'm wondering if there are people on their show, hopefully some people watching this and listening, but people that are bosses, what do you tell those bosses? How should they treat you? How should they look at you and approach you? Because again, there's not a lot of,
Yeah.
trade manuals of how to,
Yeah.
there's, if you're black, you're black, you're white, you're Hispanic. But for those with handicaps or disabilities or those stupid words, what would you tell those bosses to kind of give them some insight?
Yeah. So, let me just share my most recent experience. I have a new boss of a couple of months, and now in this COVID situation, I'm working remote right presently, and I never even thought about telling him. You know, I had met with him quite a few times, and then I thought, oh my gosh, even in a video situation, you may or may not see that I'm in a chair. I didn't even think about it, but uh, I was saying something one day, and I went, "Oh, you know what? I need to let you know something." And I told him, and I think he had said, that one of my coworkers might have mentioned it, but um, I didn't even think about it. But when you do need to share that, or when you do need to do that, it's really just, I mean, be open. There are some things that might come up that you need to do, but every employee has things, whether you have to go to a doctor appointment or whether you have to go do something that isn't even that. Everybody has something. That open line of communication with your boss, if it's going to be if it's going to, be away from your job, whatever it is that you need to do, be open. I've found my employers to be nothing but professional. And anytime I've needed help, and that's happened from, they've had to put electric doors on doors that I could not open myself, to moving the wheelchair accessible parking spot, um, to how the desk sits and is whether it's accessible to me or not. So there's been a few accommodations that I've needed them to make, and they've always been very good about it. So, and my coworkers too. I mean, I think I've become friends with a lot of my coworkers, and I think it's just be open and be honest and be real, just like they would, and it invites the same thing back.
Well, speaking of invite back, let me bring Marcus and Anna Maria in. And Anna Maria, I know you've been chomping at the bit to get a question to Paula, so I'll step back and you can ask.
I'm just wondering if somebody had said to you, Paula, hey, there's a chance that you could have gotten a job with GoDaddy and work remote. Would you have been interested?
Absolutely. Well, I would. And because I do tax work, much of the programs that we work, and can be done online. So that wasn't an issue at all. I think, I love the around my coworkers and also, getting out of the house too. So, going full time at home was different, but I actually am really enjoying this. And now with all of, the ability to go through Zoom and you're still seeing people, it really hasn't even been a hiccup. I feel like I do just as good a job at home that I would have done in the office.
And before I throw to Marcus, Paula, I got to ask real quick, how scared are you of COVID right now? I mean, you are susceptible more than most, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be one of those things where you're stuck in that little house right now, and it's got to be
Yep.
killing you.
It is. It's hard. It is hard, but just like everybody, I'm doing extra measures that keep me safe, and so are my son and anybody that actually is surrounding me. We right off early on decided that we were going to be working from home, and thankfully his employers, same thing. He's been able to work from home and keep all of us safe. It is. It's a little bit frightening, but we're all learning more about what we can do to be safe and what we can do to be safe, keep the safety of others. And I think we have to listen to that.
Marcus, what do you got?
Yeah, as I was listening, the first thing that came to mind was just equality, and it is a mindset shift that many people have to do when we have these conversations. And it's good that we have this conversation
Mm-hmm.
for many people out there who may not be in the position you are in, and in the position that they are in, because they get to hear, from your perspective. They need to hear these type of these stories, and your background, and know that, like, it took you through all these different hula hoops just to get to where you are now, for a corporation to get it, and to understand, like, hey, we need to make accommodations. We need to, not to appreciate the person for their abilities, and not for how they look on the outside, and not look at them like they're limited, because oftentimes when people look at uh, people who's disabled, and that's not the word. That's really not the word, to be honest.
Let me tell you about an experience I had with my coworker one day. This was just about a couple of years ago. I was in the lunchroom and he came in and he clearly was having a bad day. And I just happened to be there, and I was the one that he decided to tell, why his day was, that way. And I just sat and listened, and I didn't have a lot of advice, but I sat and listened and tried to encourage, and just made him feel just that he had been listened to. And I remember a couple of days later, he came over to me and he said, "Just so that you know, um, I cannot believe that I unloaded on you, someone that already has all this stuff going on." And I really didn't see it that way. But the way he saw it was like, oh my gosh, I just complained to someone in a wheelchair. What was I thinking? And he said he went home that day and he thought, you know what? What would Paula do in this situation? And he said, he started to think, I am going to start being more positive. I'm not going to just, think that the world is falling when something little happens to me. So I'm going to be more positive. And within a week, his girlfriend comes up to him and is like, what is wrong? You are not complaining. What's going on? Well, he said, I need to introduce you to my coworker because this all stemmed from that. And I thought, wow, some of the littlest of conversations and the interactions that you can have with people can change their outlook, their day. And for me, it starts with that smile, that hello, and hopefully it's inviting, and they want to know, why are you so happy? I'm happy because life is good.
And you're working for GoDaddy, which
And
is
we're
one of the best websites creators.
right.
They've helped me. They've helped Anna Maria. They've helped so many people along the way. And I really appreciate that they take the effort to have the ERG groups that they do for GoDaddy for
Yes.
all of the, all those people that no matter on their sex and religion and disability, there's all these opportunities for them to interact. And I'm really excited to hopefully work with those guys in the future and be a part of, what GoDaddy is helping. Like they're helping the
Yeah.
both sides, and it's
Our
great to see. Go ahead.
the group, the ERG group that I'm a part of at GoDaddy is called GoDaddy Abilities, and it was started just a couple years ago, and it's been fantastic actually. It's just getting off the ground, and our support is for employees and their families that might have special needs, and I'm starting to learn a lot more about the whole people on the spectrum. So it's not just about physical disabilities, it's any kind of need that you might have. And I love that GoDaddy has given us a venue to connect people, and also for them in their, to help them in their personal lives. This is a big deal. Your work life is gonna go well if your personal life is also, and that matters. So I'm
And that's
glad that
why
they're supportive.
Anna Maria has been so instrumental in helping place these people with online jobs, and it's like
Hmm.
it's been great. And for what to the outcome is good. And once she teaches people and guides them the right way, there's money to be made, and we can impact veterans and homeless people and all those kind of things. So it's pretty awesome. I know you wanted to add something, Anna Maria.
Now, I just wanted to add that working remotely, you don't have to worry about access to
Yeah,
a building. You
exactly.
don't even have to. You don't have to worry about telling your boss that you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And you're right. There are other occasions where anybody would have to have some kind of conversation with their boss, and the way to do it. I love your attitude, Paula. is positive, upbeat, can do. Hey, we're going to work this out. I love this. Thank you very much for sharing with us tonight.
You're
I'm
welcome.
inspired, and I'm positive and pumped.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had a good response, and really, I've really had some amazing coworkers and bosses, and companies that I've worked for, and I know there are more out there. It's not just the three that I work for. There are plenty out there, and I think it's worth staying connected and staying active. Your mind, your everything. If you can stay active physically, stay active, work wise, life is really going to go a lot easier. I lived um, on disability for while I was in college, and that was hard to make ends meet. I thought, okay, there's no way I can do that. I want to do this. I want to go out there, and I want to work just like everybody, contribute just like everybody else.
Yes.
And I was determined, in college to do this. And I had a family behind me that also said, why not? You can do it just like everybody else, and never said, I don't think I knew that I could say no or not want to do this. I just thought, okay, what's next? I just go right to the next one.
Well, Paul, I'm so glad you took this time out to sit with us. I hope your boss isn't watching this and realizes you've stepped away from work.
No, he's aware.
Okay, cool.
They're all
So,
listening.
I hope. All right. Well, hey, again, is there anything you want to leave people with advice? I mean, you talked about your smile, and we have bad days too. They just don't see it because we have to wake up in the morning and deal with our bad days. But you've been so positive, and it's just been great to have you as a guest. If you have any parting shots of wisdom that you can leave our
Sure.
audience with.
So my people always ask me, um, do I ask if you need help, or do I not ask if you need help? And my answer to that is ask. You'll know right away whether or not the person with a disability may or may not need the help. And they're either going to be open, or they're not, not want to. Ask. It always is. It's always a good thing. And likewise, I do the same thing that you do. I hold doors open, do the same thing for other people. And it's kindness goes a long ways. just be aware of what people are doing, and you'll see that kindness helps.
All right. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to you and thank you for joining us tonight. And thanks for our listeners and our viewers and everybody out there that's been a part of this amazing broadcast. Anna Maria will be back next week with something. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Hopefully it'll be more job opportunities and ways to find things. Just where can people find you and learn about the ways in lives and inspiring people?
Thank you, Dave, for having me. I appreciate it.
Marcus, give a shout out to your website.
Oh yeah, and my website is designed by GoDaddy, so shout out to GoDaddy. So,
there you go.
so both of them. So transformubroadcast.com. So transform the letter U broadcast.com and transformu.us is the content website where you can find all the videos, including this one is up and running right now live. Yeah, and I'm on Twitter I have a new Twitter account now too, Dave. So you can follow me on Twitter now. So right. Marcus_Hart. So.
All right, everybody, give me a nice big Brady Bunch wave and say hi to everybody out there. It's been a great night. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and listening to us and being a part of Ability MKE Now. Marcus, my man, take us out.
Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful broadcast. Make sure you check us out next week with Ability MKE Now with Dave Stevens every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.